Middle East Television, or MeTV, it's a privately owned general entertainment TV channel. We're offering wide range of programming for diverse general public, and essentially we're trying to focus on the Middle Eastern audiences to match all their preferences, whatever their age, whatever their gender or background is. Currently we're still a 24-hour music channel, and because we're still at the initial stages of the strategic planning process, we're still figuring out the ideal business plan, the ideal brand plan, the ideal communications plan to be implemented by the end of this year. And for now, as a step one, we started with a research and benchmarking report for the top global TV channels in the world. We analyzed them, we interpreted and studied their methodology from two different perspectives, as brands and as businesses. As brands, how they creatively narrated their story, how they established an emotional connection, went deeply into consumers' mind and inspired them, how they creatively or strategically positioned themselves in a competitive market landscape and successfully managed to stand out. And on the flip side, as businesses, how they operate on strategic level, how they successfully manage to generate the revenue streams, how they take advantages of the opportunities, how they focus on their strength, minimize their threats, minimize the risks, and so on. And as we grasped all of this information, we were able to extract their best practices to make sure that we are building and informing the best and ideal strategic planning direction for MeTV on the long term. For the channels that I've used it for benchmarking, I've used MTV, Discovery, ESPN, ABC, NBC, TNT, and through my analysis, I found out that all of these TV channels, what they have in common is that their large part of success is attributed to one thing: understanding the pulse of the audience. Because understanding the pulse of the audience, what stimulates their thinking, what evokes their emotion, what motivates them, what engages them, and being able to translate that kind of information into programming can give you what it takes to gain the trust of your audience, and what it takes to be able to reach a very powerful position and very mature position as a brand, to be able to set the trend by itself, to be able to shape the culture of a society. For the reasons of success, I can say content, advertising, distribution, they are not only the reasons of success, they are the keys for the survival of all of these successful TV channels. Take for instance MTV. They developed long-term partnerships with external stakeholders, including the record companies. For instance, the record companies supplied MTV with music videos to promote their products, and in turn MTV aired for free all of these music videos. So it's a kind of a mutual benefit between both of them, to a point where the record companies, they were able to develop a relative dependency on MTV just for their promotion. For advertising, in the same sense, MTV developed a long-term partnership with PepsiCo with the intention of co-promoting their brands and reinforcing their positioning worldwide. For the distribution, it's the most important thing to make sure that your content and your programming is able to reach all the TV sets. It could be either by satellite or by cable, and by reaching people by satellite is regarded as a much more accessible way here in the region. It's by renting a satellite slot from third-party suppliers, and audiences will receive the transmission by a dish, and this is what MTV is adapting. And the primary challenge here for all of these TV channels is the increasing number of startups. All of these startups start to rise in their popularity and start to question their global relevance and their continued growth, and to question their survival on the long term, because currently none of them is able to initiate a radical change for their strategy. All of them, they are actively searching for new methods to adapt to the competitive circumstances, and here where the problems comes in. Before years, all of them, they were enjoying a virtual monopoly. MTV was owning the music market. ESPN was virtually owning the sports market. The same for Fox News for news. But that's something that cannot keep on happening nowadays because the increasing number of startups, and that's kind of a challenge that we need to face as a new startup. In terms of business strategy, the first thing that I've started to think about in planning is how media consumption today is altering and changing the business. how media consumption is altering the business. First thing, let's not confuse between media and message, because whatever the media is, whatever the screen is, people wants to watch more video content, a lot much more than before. And today the media industry is undergoing a rapid transformation. It's in a period of change, although certain implications might not be relevant here in the region because of the stronger presence of the public service broadcasting culture. We have LBC, we have NBC, we have OTV, Future, Manar. All of these TV channels, they really have a stronger presence in the region, but we cannot ignore the trend. The trend is pretty clear, is that the business models and the revenue models, they are being challenged. They are under the increasing pressure as the digital revolution is altering and changing the viewing habits. And thinking about digital revolution, the digital technologies by themselves, they are enabling us as broadcasters and advertisers to connect more immersively and more directly with our consumers in an unprecedented, extremely powerful way. Take for instance the MTV Music Awards, or here in the region Arabs Idol or X Factor or Arabs Got Talent. All of these high quality TV shows, they were able to generate enormous engagement with millions of views on the digital platforms. So the digital platforms, they are extending the reach of the television. They are increasing the exposure. They are placing a premium on the production, curation, and the editorial expertise. And our challenge, our mission here, that we need a challenge that we need to address head on, is how to craft, how to be able to build new accurate methods to measure and to monetize the audience engagement with our content across all the platforms. That's not something easy. It's not something to be done overnight. We need that kind of issue that needs to be collectively addressed in the industry, but is a core priority in our strategy. And talking about our strategy, we have divided it and break it down into three main key pillars as prongs that we need to work on it. And number one, increasing investment in creating and crafting outstanding content. And it's not only about creating content, but delivering that content for consumers whenever and wherever they want. Number two, building international and regional scale and capability. We'll discuss this in details. Number three is adopting technology-driven innovations to expand the distribution and to pioneer new advertising platforms. Let's start with number one, the content. Content is the key of survival of any TV channel. It's what defines us as a channel, and it's what differentiates us from the other. It's the backbone for the growth. It's the X factor for expansion. It's content is the king, and actually what makes television a television is that content is here to stay. But the bigger question here is what defines content is culture. Culture defines content. That's something that should become our legacy, and it's what should define our future. Why? Because today audiences, they are the pioneers. They are our pioneers on the digital frontier. And as they venture into new distribution platforms, the content that will fuel their exploration will become much more valuable. So it's not the journey, it's the destination. It's the destination, and our programming and our content should be that destination. It's a truth that should be self-evident. And that's why we need to continually and significantly increase our considerable investment in creating outstanding content, from the full-length movies to the 10-second series on Snapchat and everything that comes in between. Number two in our strategy, increasing building international and regional scale and capability like acquisition new studios and so on is really important to propel the MeTV's continued growth and relevance. But it's something that is too early to talk about it right now. Number three, the most important thing in our strategy is adopting technology-driven innovation. We need to find new distribution technologies and advertising technologies to make sure that we're delivering fresh and entertaining experiences and enhanced values for our audiences. Take for instance for the distribution technologies, MTV, they carried their programming on digital distributors like Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu, on cable companies like Verizon, Virgin Media and Time Warner, on satellite companies like Sky, Dish, Canal Set, to mention few, on the digital applications, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. And when it comes to the burgeoning mobile applications, they announced an international launch for Viacom Playplex. Actually, it's a partnership with Verizon, the largest carrier in the US, wireless carrier in the US. And as I said, they announced the launch of Viacom Playplex. And what Viacom Playplex is a suite of mobile applications that allows distributors in all of the countries that MTV serves in to connect and engage with their content across smartphones and tablets. So we're thinking to do exactly the same, but we're still studying the logistics behind it, if it's possible to do that in the region. But as I can say about all of these kind of partnerships, they don't only require a technological sophistication, but kind of organization agility and speed to achieve it in a correct way. And when it comes to the advertising front technologies, we're utilizing the power of data. Because today data is revolutionizing the way we interact with our advertisers to connect with our consumers that will flock our network. That's why we're working currently on an industry-leading ad effectiveness tool with predictive capabilities and targeting capabilities that goes far beyond the traditional demographic segmentation. We're integrating our proprietary data with third-party data on millions of individuals to make sure that we are providing our advertisers with a much clearer picture on what exactly they are reaching, so that they can customize their message accordingly, so that they can reach more precise audiences. Think about the opportunity that we're gonna offer to the advertisers to connect with their target audience in a new, unprecedented, and extremely powerful way. That's the main three key pillars that we are working on our strategy. And at the end, I'm going to end my presentation in the same way I've started. We were talking about how media consumption is altering the business, and I'm going to state a very famous statement that the CEO of MTV have mentioned, is that today the global media is at a pivotal juncture. And today our mission is to be comfortable and always be comfortable in recognizing and capitalizing on the trends that drives media consumption. Because today we should not only be at the forefront of the immediate transformation, but we need to seize all of these opportunities. Because today the digital technologies that others sees as a threat for the traditional business models, we can see as an opportunity on the long term to build and architect a robust and more promising future. Digital technologies, they are as much more promising than they are perilous. That's why we should be always confident to make sure to report that the digital technologies, the digital revolution will never kill the television. Television would never be dead, but the digital revolution by itself will be televised. Thank you.